Hey folks, Brian here. Today's video is going to be about magic and world building and how to incorporate magic into your world. Before we talk about world building and magic, we need to talk about the sources of this magic. In Dungeons and Dragons, the sources of magic are divine and arcane. Now, let me break that up and kind of make it a little bit more sensible to those who are new to D&D. Divine magic comes from the divine. It comes from a deity or a celestial being who empowers their cleric or paladin in these situations with powers and magical spells and abilities pertaining to their realm of holy nature. So for example, if Bahamut, the king of the metallic dragons, bestows upon their paladin the spell of divine smite, that means that that paladin has the ability to smite a creature with divine power that was given to them by Bahamut. A cleric of Pelor may have the ability to heal and bless things due to the power that Pelor bestowed upon that cleric. There's a huge distinction where there might be the similar healing spells between divine magic users and arcane magic users, but the source in this case is from the divine. It's from the celestial plane. It's from those gods, whether good, chaotic, neutral, or even evil, whatever their nature is, it's still from a divine source. Arcane magic is a little bit different. Arcane magic has many schools of thought, but it also has many influences. Arcane magic can be nature magic, where the magic around the world of this particular person imbues them with a spirit and a primordial sense of energy, and they're able to cast their magic based upon that. Some other spellcasters, for example, may learn about arcane magic, and it's almost like a recipe in a cookbook. They're able to add certain ingredients and then use the powers within them that they've also learned to cast a spell. Another big thing that we have to consider too is the warlock. In this case, they are given, it's almost like they're given an upgrade, right? They have powers within them, their own specific personal, innate magic, and a patron of some sort, whether demonic or of other nature, bestows them with a added sort of speaking blessing or another type of magic potential. This is a bit of a tricky class because they do have some innate magic, like I stated earlier. However, the power is really coming from the deity. So if a warlock were to break their contract or pact with their patron, their power would most likely cease. They wouldn't have any more spells. They wouldn't be able to cast spells because their power derived from their patron. But again, arcane magic is going to be based upon myself. It's going to be that I take power, I use the power that I have or that I've learned from books or from nature itself. Maybe perhaps a water spirit taught this person, this character, a spell or two, and they've been able to muster that and go forward. So again, arcane magic coming from within or from the surrounding area, and divine magic is coming from the heavens. It's coming from a god of some sort. It could also come from a demonic deity, and from there, they get their powers from that type of source and system. With that being said, I want to talk about low magic settings. Low magic settings are environments and worlds in which magic is either reduced to such a rarity that only a certain amount of people practice, or there's no magic at all. There's pros and cons to this, where the benefit of having a low magic setting is that it really makes the players the star of the show if they are paladins or wizards, warlocks, you name it. Because magic is rare in that world, they're seen as this godlike figure. The cons about it are, if you are removing all forms of magic, this actually may restrict your players and may restrict their ability to play D&D. On the other hand, there's the setting of normal to high level magic. That's my personal favorite type of setting. I like an environment where magic is either an everyday occurrence or it is woven into the society in such a way where people can't live without magic. Now, if you've never played in this setting, this is kind of the setting where a lot of people, the topic rather, is of main importance. Magic is life. That setting, that phrase that I just stated, magic is life, is pretty much the thesis of any high-level magic setting. In that type of environment, magic, like I stated before, is woven into the society. It's woven into culture. People use magic to run errands, whether it's perhaps baking bread or cleaning the house, kind of what you would see in Harry Potter, to the point where magic can also be utilized in grand scheme opportunities. A great example of this is warfare. Magic could be used in warfare to attack, to defend, to spy on people, to use in espionage. There's a lot of different ways you can use magic. And that's probably why I love high magic environments and worlds. Whether homebrew or canon, I really love that environment because it allows players and DMs to really build the story. So, if you're interested in using a high amount of magic, this is what I would recommend. I would recommend to, number one, first and foremost, explain where the magic comes from. If you are a new DM or if you're a player, talk to one another and explain where your magic comes from. If your magic comes from the divine, talk to them about how your God bestowed you with these abilities to cast these spells. That really brings depth to your character, and your DM or vice versa, they might understand where your magic comes from now and may be able to write it into the storyline. Another great way to incorporate magic at high levels without a lot of trouble is talking about the society and culture of your world, explaining how important magic is, talking about the constructs of magic and really how it's woven into the societal norms. A great example of this would be is one that I stated earlier, how people use magic for their everyday habits, for their everyday occurrences and errands. That is a great example. Talk to your players in that manner and state to them how magic is used in that way. Another great example and another great tip that I would recommend when incorporating this, and this kind of goes out to both DMs and players, is to say, hey, I like having a magic setting. This is what we're expecting to do, and if magic is going to be utilized in the world, this is the accountability, responsibility, and consequences that you're going to have in the world. I stated earlier and in other videos about consequential magic, but for those of you who are watching this video for the first time, consequential magic, as I've explained, is magic that has consequences. It's a spell that someone casts that has a negative or positive reaction to it. A great example is the wish spell. The wish spell is magic that's cast from the player that alters the game itself. It can have positive or negative consequences. You might not know, but it's still considered consequential magic because of its divine and arcane nature. Now, you might mention, Brian, you just said divine and arcane nature. Well, it can come from both. It can be such a massive spell that it causes the divine, the arcane, everything in between to be affected. I love this type of magic because in reality, it changes the story of the game and gives the whole gaming table something to think about and something to really pursue. At the end of the day, magic is what you and your party make it. Whether it's low setting or high setting magic, you and your party are going to make it awesome, and it's your job to continue making it awesome and interesting to push the story forward. All right, folks, that's the video. I really appreciate y'all viewing this video. If you liked it, please subscribe. Let me know down there in the doobly-doo, and I will see you all next time. Keep gaming.